Hey guys, it's Justin back with an engineer's perspective, and today I'm doing a quick little review on this guy. This is a Shapton glass 8K. You can see down here they've got the micron rating of the alumina oxide particles in there at 1.84 micron. This here is obviously a polishing stone, and a very nice one at that. This is going to be a very positive, quick review. So, first up, why did I get this stone? This was my first foray into this type of grit rating. Up to this point, for the most part, I've been working with 3K water stones. I do have some diamond stones that are in the 2 to 3K range, but this is an example, Shapton Pro 5K, which leaves about a 3K finish. Same with the Chocera 3K. So I wanted to try something that was up in this polish range, especially because you always hear people say, they don't cut fast, they over polish the edge, you can't get any bite, go on and on and on and on. I wanted to form my own opinions, and this is where I decided to do it. Shout out to Mark Richmond from Chef's Knives to Go. He runs the place and he recommended it, and it's a great stone. So with that, how does it perform? The main takeaway I will say for this Shapton glass stone here is cutting speed. For its grit, this thing is amazing at its cutting speed, and it's just performance. So what I've done is I like to do big grit jumps. For me, if I'm doing more than 3 water stones, I'm not that interested. So I've gone from stones like this 400 grit super vitrified diamond stone from here to there, and I've got a sub 100 gram Bess off of this stone with that grit jump. Now, were there a lot of scratches left over in the bevel? Yes, there were, but it performed like an 8K edge should, because this had the cutting power. I didn't even deburr on this stone. This had the cutting power to deal with that burr and to polish it out enough for an 8K edge performance. Really amazing stuff. I also did jumps up from that Shapton Pro 3K. I did jumps from the Chocera 800 and the Chocera 3K. So these are kind of the stones that I worked with when I was using this one. All the jumps went very well, of course. If you want a kind of a full scratch removal, the 3K jump is probably the place to go for, but in my personal usage, the 800 is totally satisfactory. I wouldn't normally go straight from the 400, but I would recommend going from 400 to 800, or my actual real preference would be 400, 3K, 8K. Very nice finish off of that. But if you don't want to go down to the 400, start with the 8. So it did very good on those grit jumps just because it has the power to cut pretty much any steel I worked with well and remove a lot of those scratches. Deburring on it, very good. This doesn't form a big burr. It will form a burr if you're getting after it on edge leading strokes, but it's very minimal. You can't overburr with this stone. And the next thing that I really love about this is it's super easy to remove that burr. I've got multiple sub 100 gram Bess scores from this stone, straight off the stone. And most of those were of the style where I would do, maybe 10 stropping strokes per side and start alternating at the end. And then run this through wood or something to kind of roll over that burr so there's something to catch on. And then edge leading, maybe 2 or 3 passes followed by maybe 1 strop each. And those are sub 100 Bess edges. This thing has a great balance of that cutting speed but not wanting to form that burr, and it'll just cut that burr off and you'll be left with a nice clean apex. And when you do that, when you come straight off of this stone and you deburr like that, you have very nice bite. That is the last big thing I want to say about this in terms of positives, is it is not difficult to get good bite off of this stone and all types of steels that perform very well. It's not the same bite you get off the 3K, but it is very nice bite that performs well in the kitchen, cutting peppers, cutting tomatoes, and everything else. Really nice. Downsides of the stone that are also good is it's extremely hard. Kind of reminds me of the Shapton Pro, but has a better feel while you're using it, where this feels like it's not even there. I do like the stone a lot. This kind of has a velvety feel on the knife, but that's it. It just feels velvety, but there's no feedback at all. So it doesn't dish because it's hard, but there is zero feedback from this thing. That said, tactile feedback, like feeling in your hand, you can hear what this is doing though, audible feedback. So you can hear the burr kind of, clicking and chipping and whatnot on it. So that's pretty useful and definitely a nice thing, but no audible feedback. Doesn't form any slurry, basically none. It forms no slurry, and it will load. The load rate doesn't seem to affect its cutting speed that much, which is very appreciated. So after like 3 or 4 knives, then I would go to flatten it and remove the loading. I'd flatten it with this 140 grit diamond plate. And I experimented sharpening straight off of that, and then also with then hitting it with this 800 grit Nagura to kind of smooth out the surface. I don't know if I saw a big difference in finish from that, but in feel, it's more velvety off this 800 grit Nagura. So I would occasionally hit it with this, maybe every 1 or 2 knives, and then flatten it with the 140, every like 4 knives or so. It worked great, very easy to take care of. It flattens quick because it doesn't dish fast. Loading comes up really nice off with that Nagura. And it's really easy to tell because it's white. So those are kind of the downsides, is the lack of feedback and the loading, but very little dishing. I think that's pretty much the things I wanted to say. More feedback would be nice, but that's common to not have a lot of it at this grit rating just because they tend to be very hard and dense stones, and this is a good one. It's got the cutting power, it's got the finishing ability, it's long lasting, long wearing, doesn't dish. It's a really good stone. It's not terribly expensive either, and I don't know if this is true or not, but my theory with the Shapton glass is that their style is they wanted to have a very, very high quality abrasive in there, the aluminum oxide, with a very tight grading. So I think they do a really, really, really nice job with their abrasives, like the actual abrasive particle, and then so that you don't wear through all those very expensive particles, and so that they don't need to make it that thick and thus this expensive. What they've done is they make a very hard stone that's very thin, and then that way, you can enjoy the very high quality abrasive in there without wearing through it in a second and, losing all your money buying these things left, right, and center. So really fantastic stone. Just kind of wanted to mention, I've sharpened CTS BD1N at 63 Rockwell, X50 CR MOV15, AUS 10, SG2, Magna Cut, VG Max, and then one other one that's basically the Japanese version of this kind of 1K6, I believe is what it's called. I did great on all of them. Magna Cut was the most difficult on it. Is the only one that felt like, oh, what's going on here? So that kind of surprised me because of it doesn't have more carbide than SG2, and it was about the same hardness. But those vanadium carbide made a difference, I guess. But no, it's really great. Really great if you want something that will give a fantastic polish at the end. Really great if you want something that you can make a big jump to because it's got the speed and the capability to deal with those big jumps. So that's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.